Hello, One to the Force, the Star Wars podcast on our own channel, finally. Hello and welcome to One to the Force properly. I'm joined, as usual, by my co-host, George from Cinema Sunny, Dave from The Life of Brian. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. It seems weird doing this in the daytime.
Yes, it's weird. I have light in here. It's brilliant. You ready to talk Rebels finale?
Yes.
Absolutely. Let's.
Which hasn't broadcast yet in America.
No, it's not been on yet live. And weirdly, actually, it hasn't been live here either yet. I know George and I went on this morning to Disney XD, which normally air them at 9:30, to find out they were showing
Double Agent Droid.
Awful Double Agent Droid. Thank you. See, it's that bad. I blanked it out of my memory. Yeah. Double Agent Droid again. But yes, it's nice to be here on our own little channel here. It seems like a lovely space. I've had a look around. It looks quite nice. So yeah, it's good to be here.
It's good to get started on here. Now, before we get started, obviously, if you haven't seen the episode, massive spoilers ahead. Seriously, massive warnings, because it hasn't aired it might have aired in the UK by now. Definitely hasn't aired in the States. So if you haven't watched it somehow, we're not going to say how. If you haven't watched it, fair play. But warning, massive spoilers. I can't say this enough. Massive spoilers. So with that out of the way, let's get this started. Yes. Any points before we get started, gentlemen?
No, I'm just. Go, George. Go.
I was going to say, going off the trailers that were coming through, this was going to be as a build-up to it. This was going to be this was going to be a season finale that we needed. There was a lot of talk, especially comments on the YouTube. People like atting Disney, "Don't you fucking kill Thrawn." We've kind of all said the same. Oh yeah, I can't help it. It's literally, when you read the YouTube comments, there was a lot of very passionate Thrawn things, I think is the right word for it. Me being one of them, not giving them abuse because I just pressed the like button because the video looked awesome. But going in, I had in the back of my mind a slight concern that they might go for the "we have one villain a season" routine. So it was getting to the ending, was just making sure things were going to go as I hope they will for the future seasons, which we'll talk about later on. But as we've already warned.
Before we continue, I must actually give a special shout out to Sebastian from Australia who's joining us this morning. So good morning to you.
At least they get to watch.
Good morning or good evening.
They get to watch F1.
I don't even know what time it is.
They get to watch F1 at a suitable time as well.
Yeah,
it's on at 6 a.m. for us tomorrow.
I watched Q3, I must admit, before we started. So I have seen who's on pole, but we are now digressing vastly away from Star Wars here.
Yes.
But good morning, Australia, or good evening, and let's continue with Rebels. This was building up to be something quite big and something that we did need. I mean, Rebels is fast approaching. I'll say ABY, BBY. It's literally fast approaching the Battle of Yavin and the events of Episode 4. I mean, when we got to the end of Twin Suns, Luke was 17. We've only got 2 years left before the events of Episode 4. So it's something we needed to happen, something quite big in the change. And of course, we're building up, and we'll gloss over Double Agent Droid and the filler episodes for now. But coming up to Twin Suns and coming on to 0 Hour, it's something big that we needed to happen. And I am very much looking forward to chatting to you guys about it.
Yeah, it was the next. Just go jumping off the bandwagon again. It was kind of rapidly hitting us that for God's sake, language. We are close to the timeline. Even before Yavin, there's the Battle of Scarif, and we know that the Ghost at least is in the Battle of Scarif, and Hera is now a general, I think, or commander.
General Syndulla. Yeah.
So there's a lot of story arcs which we kind of know have to happen for 2 years' time, and if they're going to jump ahead to the whole 1 year, then by the time season 4 starts in autumn, maybe something at Celebration, we could be right in it. Someone could have another new haircut, someone could have a promotion, and it is kind of like a 5-act structure. It's like a 5-act structure to a film. We've had part 1, we've had part 2 where you're seeing a little bit of what might come, and now we've had part 3, and part 3 is the turning point where things go sour. And I'm very, very excited for part 4.
So am I. So let's just jump straight into the episode. First up, the first canonical appearance of Death Troopers. Win.
It was awesome to see them arrive on Lothal, and there we are, back at Lothal, and then Thrawn comes out, and yes, flanked by the Death Troopers, looking superb, I must say. It was nice. It was really nice to see them again after seeing Rogue One. And it's just like, oh, okay, now we're in it. These guys are the heavies.
I love Death Troopers. I have a mouse mat that's actually a Death Trooper magazine cover. And I said to you guys months ago, oh my God, we're going to get Death Troopers. You know, this is awesome. They finally arrived today. And, you know, we'll talk about it later on, but we got the sound effect of their awesome blasters. I only wish that we had their sort of scramble language. But, you know, I didn't mind not having that because they're Death Troopers. They're awesome. They look amazing. And I think similar to Krennic, when you've got the whole white cape with the black bodyguards, but it looked cooler because Thrawn was blue, I thought. They were awesome. Racist. And no, I hate all whites. I only love blue people. I'm one of those. I love Avatar. It's my favorite film I've made. It's one where hopefully we get them in the next 2 seasons as well, because you know we know that Rogue One, spoiler alert, the base where the Death Troopers get trained is Scarif, which is gone at the point of ABY. So we might get Death Troopers for the next year or 2 on Star Wars Rebels. It could be really cool, and I hope we do get that.
Now they've got the models, it would seem crazy not to use them.
Oh yeah.
To build them just for one episode would seem insane, but now they've got them there. I can't see why they wouldn't keep using them.
Thrawn.
Well, it's the whole dynamic that you could have had. Thrawn's got them. He's obviously Grand Admiral. You've got Krennic, who's a director. So the hierarchy would have Death Troopers on them, especially for going not into ground battle, but they need the sidekicks with them. And as long as the hierarchy have it on the ground, then it's going to look awesome because they are personal guards for them. And you know, maybe we'll get a Krennic appearance sometime in the future. There could be a little round table full of Death Troopers guarding everyone there.
Well, we had Tarkin at the start, so yeah, that was pretty cool. I mean, hopefully, we can have Tarkin, Yularen, Krennic, and Thrawn all in the same place at the same time. That would be pretty badass.
And we'd get a little teaser, the Tarkin-Krennic relationship, you know, two very, what's the word, inspired war Empire employees. I'd love to see just how that all began. Maybe we'll even get a Death Star appearance. This is me jumping ahead again, but
yeah,
no, the Death Troopers in this. I love the fact that Rogue One came out, then they blatantly go and give us them quickly. We want to use them now, and I hope they continue.
Well, Dave Filoni did say he would have used a K-series droid instead of the infiltrator that he made if he knew that they were making that. So it's kind of nice to see them crossing over.
Yeah, and the K-series droid did look slightly like the Iron Giant droid from that Chopper and AP5 and Zeb episode, but yeah, trying to divert back to this. Should we go?
So yeah, I mean, we started here. So obviously, Thrawn arrives with news of he wants to tell Tarkin. Obviously, we've got Kallus with his little mouse droid spy that he has as his listening device, which I thought was cool to have the mouse droid, and that Thrawn is revealing the launch of a major strike against the Empire by the rebels.
Yeah, if I'm revealing his
because I didn't realize this. Yeah, what I didn't realize is there's a TIE Defender factory on Lothal. That's what they're trying to defeat. So I knew there was obviously there was some kind of Imperial thing. We obviously saw Ezra go there in previous series, but yeah, to know that's what they were trying to defeat, to destroy the TIE Defenders, was nice.
I think it's a prototype factory because they've built speeder bikes then, they've built the AT-DPs, and they've built now the TIE Defenders. I think it's just a prototype factory. Because that would make sense, considering what they've had come out of the factory and what they could have coming out of that factory in future series. So that would be kind of cool to look at. And yes, so Thrawn arrives, he knows about Lothal, he warns Tarkin, warns Governor Pryce, warns everyone, goes, right, we know what's coming, we know who's coming, we know why they're coming. We need to take them on. Excuse me. And of course, Agent Kallus goes, oh dear, we need to warn people about this. And what I like is the fact he's using Ezra's old base to send his message out.
I thought that was a really neat throwback to Series 1. You know, he kind of is like, oh, I recognize this building. Opens the door, you've got the Stormtrooper helmets. It was a really cool throwback. And it kind of gives Kallus a bit of character because where's the one thing they wouldn't expect me to be? At Ezra's old place. And, you know, he's clearly made a bit of a home there. He's been doing his transmissions, and I thought it was really cool. And obviously, we know off the trailer he's going to get cut off at one point. And as he did in comes Thrawn. Then there was a kind of a bit of a fisty fight between them, you can say, and
bit of scuffle.
Yeah, it was. I woke up this morning, I went on YouTube, and it said, "Oh, Thrawn fights Kallus." I was like, "Damn, I knew I shouldn't have pressed YouTube." I didn't see it, but it was just that headline. But I was glad that was in the first 5 minutes when I turned the episode on, because we know that Kallus is going to get captured because the transmission cuts off. But the location of it gave it so much more levity. And Thrawn, he clearly did that meeting knowing Kallus is going to spy on them. And it was more or less probably him tracking him afterwards. And I love that. We started to see we've had a lot of intelligence from Thrawn, but normally we get them in a minute or two bursts per every few episodes. But we had it almost the entirety of the first half of this episode and quite a bit in the second, which was awesome because it gives you. I never read the original trilogy book that everyone goes crazy about with Thrawn, but we knew his reputation and stuff like this, and it was just great to have him lasting. And that less is always more. So the build up to this episode with Thrawn has given him a lot of not edge, but it's given you what you wanted for him in the finale.
Yeah, for sure.
What we did miss is we did have a flash to the Rebel base before we got that fight with Kanan and Ezra having a bit of a chat between each other, and Kanan literally admitting that he had nothing left to teach Ezra because his own Jedi training was severely limited. So he'd basically taught him now. He's kind of left now saying, "Look, I've taught you everything that I know." And yes, they had the little bit of back and forth between, "Oh no, I want to learn how to be a good man like you," and all that. But it was nice for Kanan to get that Kanan is a limited Jedi, that he's although he has Jedi skills there, he's not a full, although he's been given Master Jedi Knight status. He isn't a fully fledged Jedi. His training is severely lacking in what he needs to actually train somebody.
Well, if you read the Kanan comics, you read the graphic novels, you will see that his training gets cut off because of Order 66. So he didn't get to complete his training. So he's been very limited. But it was kind of nice to see that little powwow between the two of them to kind of build a relationship a bit more, because over the course of Series 3 especially, between the relationship between Kanan and Ezra and Maul being in the mix, has kind of been Ezra being torn between the two. Now that Maul's out of the picture, it's them re-establishing the connection between those two characters and their story arc and hopeful demise in the next couple of series.
Yeah, and I think the Kanan, I've got nothing left to teach. To me, that's your purpose has been and gone. So maybe you'll be been and gone in the next series or the series after. But that also maybe means with Ezra that he's not going to be learning some new stuff, because now Maul is gone. The only thing left for Ezra is any time to episode 8, which I highly doubt. There's rumors that, not rumors, but there's people saying, "Oh, look, he's Benicio del Toro," because the animation looks slightly like his chin, which isn't the case at all.
No, I don't believe that was the case.
What it means for me is that their story arc is over. And I said this to you guys, I think, in the week that, now that Maul's gone, the whole, is he going to turn to the Sith? It's going to have to be either bloody Emperor or Vader that does it. But I don't think that they're going to ever want them in the show again. Maybe Vader for 1 or 2 scenes. But yeah, with me, both their story arcs are not coming to an end. But very much this series has gone from the Rebels crew to the Rebel Alliance. And now the scope has completely changed. It's enabling them to take more risks with the Ghost characters. We've seen it with Sabine. We had lost her in season 2. It'd have been a bigger loss, but no, because we've had bigger story arcs, losing Sabine wasn't that big a deal for the few episodes we lost her.
And she's so easily fitted back in as well. She came in, and then I thought I'd skip forward, but then the episode again, she's gone again. She says she has to go back and fight. She gets to, obviously, when we get to see her again, they say they're in the middle of a civil war, which is what they discussed in the episodes that we had in there previously.
The Mandalorian arc, they were like, this will cause problems, this will cause a civil war. And it's nice for them to go back and confirm that, because we could now, in terms of books, comics, or even Rebels, see that civil war.
Yeah, there's a lot to explore with Mandalore. I would love, not a film because it's too Rebel suited, but could you imagine if they wanted to do a few episodes set on Mandalore sometime? It would be, it's probably the only outright war in the galaxy at this point, because the Rebels haven't officially started their war. We haven't had the Battle of Scarif, the first war. So that could be the biggest conflict in the galaxy, just a Mandalore civil war, which would be awesome to explore in some form or another.
Yeah. So moving on this, because we're getting vastly off topic here. Thrawn captures Agent Kallus, doesn't kill him. and takes him.
But he does with that, get the position. Sorry, I was going to let you clear your throat while Sorry,
voice is going funny.
The position is given away, and although Callus is like, you can't find it cleverer than that. The fact he brings in what he's been talking about all series as his love of art, and he brings in an old piece of art that tells him exactly what the planet is and exactly where it should be. One that Chopper got rid of in the transmission.
Yeah, exactly.
I thought it was genius. I don't know how he got General Dodonna's flight path, but the crossing points and these are just your Imperial records. Let's have a look at something else.
Yeah. And to be fair though, you talked about how he gets the flight path. Considering his amount of information he's managed to get from our rebels, as in the Ghost Crew, Phoenix Squadron, it wouldn't surprise me if he's got some sort of spy or some sort of bugs on Dodonna as well, and not only Dodonna but Mon Mothma and everyone else to kind of just because he's got such scope and an actual tenacity. I actually really starting to admire the character and the writing behind it. I think he's fantastic. But yes, it wouldn't surprise me if he has some sort of bug or some sort of intelligence from that. But anyway, continue.
So what we get then is we get Hera. They're listening to Callus's message as Fulcrum, which obviously is cut off early, and figure out that Thrawn knows exactly what's going on, that he's on his way. And then we get boom of 5 Imperial Star Destroyers jumping out of hyperspace, looking absolutely incredible as they come across the starry sky.
And then, of course, the Chimera joins as well, and that just makes it unbelievable. That's one of those sites that when you watch, like Return of the Jedi, for example, when you've got the Death Star and the Imperial fleet, the Imperial Navy, it's awe-inspiring, to say the least. And to have that kind of scale in a TV show is very impressive.
The one thing I love is very rarely, certainly in the films, it's always the rebels attacking the Empire, except Hoth. It's always been rebels attacking Empire. And seeing the Star Destroyers come in as a navy, we're at your door this time.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And that's something I would love to see in a film sometime. Even Rogue One, it was absolutely amazing when the Rebel Alliance all come out of hyperspace together and began their attack. There's so much awesome things. Like, it's so cool to see it from the Empire's viewpoint for once. They're crushing these guys that are going to come knocking on their door. They beat them to it and jumping ahead. Even when he's like, launch the TIE fighters. That stuff is awesome. We haven't had it from that viewpoint. And it goes back to 3 Imperial Eyes when, we all said we'd love to see more stuff like this. And this episode gave us a lot of Empire perspective.
All right, so if you go back to our last episode on the channel, in fact, actually, we've, as a small announcement, we have actually uploaded all of our previous episodes to this channel now. So if you wish to go back and watch our first 5 podcasts, you can find those on our channel, not only on Cinema Savvy. So if you want to follow us here now, subscribe here, you'll be able to find all our episodes. If you go back to our last episode, when we did the Canteen talk, I was discussing how I'd like to see a film from the Empire's point of view, to see the Alliance as an annoyance and to see it from the Empire's point of view. And yeah, we had that in this episode with Thrawn taking command and going, right, we are not just going to sit back and let them come to us. We will crush them. It's an annoyance that has to be dealt with. I want a victory for my Emperor. That's what he says. He wants a victory for the Emperor and for the Empire itself. He wants to prove to the Emperor his worth and just prove that he can basically squash a bug. That's what he wants to do in this instance.
And jumping ahead, he does vaguely. Right. So what was next? I don't have my notes.
I've got a breakdown of the episode if we go through. So if we go off, I've got that and take us back. But one thing we do get, Dodonna is then, once the Imperial fleet arrives, he does try and do the jump into the light hyperspace to get out. Obviously, he's pulled straight out of that. But what was nice with that is that we got to see Dodonna again, which I thought was awesome. To see him from a character in A New Hope to then see him as a character in Rogue One as well. We saw him as a new actor. Now to see Dodonna in Rebels as well. It just ties up all of this story together. These characters that are now crossing over all of these different these formats. It was great. I thought it was a really nice touch to have him in the episode.
It's also nice to see some of General Dodonna's code words as well. The fact that he's from Masai Group and the fact that his flagship's called the Vanguard and the base called Phoenix Nest. Again, to get some of these more intimate details from the Rebel Alliance is kind of cool.
Yeah, with Dodonna though, I think I might be. This is maybe me nitpicking. I love that he was back.
Mm.
I didn't like the voice actor on him. There was something about it. Whether this is me being too much, but it didn't sound like Dodonna. Like, you take the original actor, which is great. You take the use in Rogue One from the guys in Game of Thrones. I forgot his name.
Yeah,
it was good. But I didn't have this tone of a general to the voice actor. Whether this is me looking into stuff too much, but it felt very squeaky and we're going to get out of it. It didn't. I wish that they'd got the Rogue One actor because I can't remember that's his name. I feel bad because I'm so tempted to call him Baron Salmi from Game of Thrones. He had the voice.
I'm sure someone will correct us in the live chat.
I hope so, because I would like to know the name. I just can't Google it. I just wish that they had him on Mothma back. They managed to get even Saw Gerrera. And if they need someone, I could imagine Krennic coming back.
Even James L. Jones as well from Vader.
Yeah, and you feel that. Did they not want to reach out and get Dodonna for an episode, just a couple of lines? And
maybe they did, maybe they couldn't get him. But
yeah. But I just felt like the voice actor on him, it just took me out of it. That if I hadn't been told that was General Dodonna, I would have no idea it was him. Yeah. And I don't know if I'm the only one that's like that. Maybe it's me looking into it too much.
I didn't really mind too much.
I don't mind, but I do understand when you've said that about the voice. Yeah, he didn't come across as that strong, sort of like a gravelly, hard edge voice that he has had. So yeah, I do actually. Yeah, it's a valid point. It does come across that way. Yes, so I know exactly what you're saying on that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's one of those things we haven't heard him speak too much in the film, so I'm not overly bothered. But I understand what you're saying, but it didn't really bother me too much.
So next, our big point was that Thrawn then addresses all of the rebel leaders.
Yeah. Just before we get onto that, there's one bit one of my notes I did write down. The animation on the bruises on Catalyst, that was cool. Like, we've talked in previous episodes in our Rebels recap on the main podcast about the animation, but it's, again, one of those things that the little details is what makes this show cool. I mean, to see the animation of the bruise and the slight swelling and the discoloration and to the slight cuts and even just a little nick on the lip as well, just to kind of bring that all together. Because, what we haven't said yet is the fact that Thrawn not only captures him, he brings him onto the bridge to watch, almost like a mirror of the Emperor with Luke, where he's making him watch the fight between the Alliance and the Empire. Then it's bringing him on board, go, look at my power, I will show you, you have made a big mistake by being on the wrong side.
And let's not forget Callus's lovely wisp of hair as well that was hanging down over his face.
Oh yeah, the natural.
He flick and blow around.
Yeah,
I loved it. It was, I've kind of said for ages, Callus is a character. I think a lot of people have said the same. First two seasons, very, very two-dimensional. Oh, he's just a stereotype bad guy. I've loved. He's easily had one of the best season arcs in this. And
I completely agree.
This episode was a great one. Just seeing how he's interacting with Thrawn, because he probably thinks he's going to die, but he knows the right switches to do to annoy the right people. And he's got his black eye, and he's just watching. And it's just as Thrawn's commanding the Rebel fleet together. That was something in itself. Again, going back to the viewpoint of the Empire, the way he was commanding the forces, he's like, I've studied Dodonna's tactics. He's from this system. This is how he's going to play the game. This is how I'm going to play the game. And the interactions with his inferiors, the people on the other Star Destroyers, I thought was awesome, which does lead to plot points of Thrawn being right. Whether I'm jumping ahead too much, but what happens when he says stay in formation? That's the first thing he says to everyone: stay in formation. Let's just take this one that's come out of hyperspace.
Well, before we have have him addressing the generals and the Rebel Alliance, you have them trying to escape, and he has the interdictor make sure that they cannot jump into hyperspace.
Yeah.
It's a great throwback to the previous episodes again, that we know they've got this capability.
Yeah.
We've seen it happen before. So to see them partially escape and then literally just get ripped straight back out and back into the fight, it's like, you're not going anywhere.
So
I've got you here.
Yeah.
And it was, the cooking together. Well, we know Dodonna's not going to be on that ship, so there's nothing wrong with us destroying this one.
Yeah.
That was a great line. I loved that.
It's the lines. I think Thrawn's been so well written. I think he's a character that for the older fans a lot of them would have been concerned when they read he was coming back, especially being in a cartoon show. Yeah. But they've absolutely nailed him. Every scene.
I completely agree.
we've said it before. Every scene he's in, you pay attention to Thrawn, not the others, because again, this goes to I forgot the name, Mads Mikkelsen's brother, who's voicing him. I'm terrible with names today.
Lars Mikkelsen.
Lars Mikkelsen. He has had a presence like no other, I think, and he's made Thrawn his own.
Yeah.
And I love it what they've done. And I cannot wait for his book in a few weeks.
Oh no, I really can't wait for that. I think we actually are going to be doing a review of that. I think we've announced that, haven't we?
Yeah, we kind of put it on Facebook. But yes, when the Thrawn book comes out, it's coming out worldwide on the 11th of April. There are going to be special editions at Celebration. We're going to be doing a review when we've all kind of read it. So don't expect it on day one. We're not that good.
No, we're not that.
But we will be. We will be doing it.
Timothy Zahn, that's who writes the original trilogy. There we go. He's also coming back to write that book. But yes, so continuing on, we do have a lot to get through, of course, with this episode. It is a 40-minute episode, not just a 20-minute episode. So yes, you have Thrawn address Dodonna, Sato, and Syndulla and go, right, here I am. You're not going anywhere. And of course, Hera's like, well, we're not surrendering. As well, I don't want you to surrender. I want to destroy you.
I want you to know failure.
Yeah, he's one of those things like, no, I don't expect you to surrender. I want to destroy you. No, you got the wrong idea here. Like, no. Bug, squash. So that's kind of cool. And for Syndulla to go, right, no, we are not surrendering, to have that standoff, it's kind of cool because we've had this kind of backwards and forth between Thrawn and the Ghost crew and the Rebel Alliance without so much actual conversation. So now to have that finally, that's kind of cool because you can see kind of Thrawn's respect for them in a way, because he's seen them outsmart him or let them outsmart him in a way to let them escape. He's kind of seen their tactics and build up. I respect what you've done, and to see the respect between the two is kind of good. But yes, cracking on from there, General Syndulla was like, right, we need to crack on. We need to try and destroy them if we can. And Kanan's like, kind of need to go and warn someone. So he goes off and talks to the Bendu. Good old Tom Baker.
I mean, this was kind of expected. There was a shot in the trailer of him looked like he's in the area. Bendu, who just is always there. Me, honestly, he's a character I haven't really liked in this series. I don't know if I'm on my own with that. He hasn't really been an episode since we've all been kind of talking it together properly.
Yeah.
And it was I went like, I hated this scene. I know he had to warn him. I was expecting some kind of Jedi thing, but then it just, to me, it kind of not fell apart. That's a horrible way. The Bendu scene just didn't work, and then he got angry and disappeared.
Yeah.
Turns out Bendu's a bit of a dick.
Well, that's the point, that he's in the middle.
It's the best way to put it.
Well, it's the right way of putting it, because he's in the middle between the Jedi and the Empire. He just goes, you know what, I don't care. That's his point of view, is I don't care. I'm in the middle between the light and the dark. I'm not good. I'm not bad. In this instance, I'm not good. I'm going away. Sorry. I don't want to be part of this. I'm going to go away. And actually, I kind of liked that aspect. I'm not saying I liked that whole bit. You could have quite easily cut out the Bendu part of this episode for me. In some aspects. We'll continue that bit later on. But this particular bit, you could have cut that out and it would have made no difference to the overall story.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm with George, as I'm not a fan of the Bendu character. I don't think he was required. The only good thing that came out of the scene, I thought the acting by Freddie Prinze Jr. as Kanan, top notch.
I like the Bendu, but I think it's just because I like Tom Baker, because I like Doctor Who. I think that's probably why I like the Bendu.
I feel like they made Bendu because they wanted Tom Baker. It feels very doctory, like, I don't want to get involved in your fights, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Because he does have a presence, a screen presence, which Bendu does have, especially a booming giant rock with a voice.
Yeah. Well, he's had good points early on in terms of continuing the training of Kanan.
I liked that.
That teaching from Kanan to Ezra. He's had good points. I'm not saying I dislike the character. I think it's just this episode, the way he's being utilized. I like how he's utilized at the end, but at the beginning they could have cut it out and it would have made no difference.
Oh, the end, I've got very opposite opinions.
No. I would probably agree with your opinion, but I like some aspects of it. We'll get onto that later on. So,
what we did get before Bendu, though, we did get to see our first appearance of Green Squadron, who appeared in Rogue One.
Yes.
Still waiting for Blue Squadron.
The Y-Wings.
Yeah.
Blue Squadron have not yet appeared, yes.
I reckon that'll be something that the Alliance is assembling. We're getting the code names and everything. We know we can't have a Rogue One because that's in the film, but it's now putting the pieces together, and it's kind of like, well, Dondonna clearly has Green Squadron.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, does Mothma have Red? Does X? It's going to be really cool over the years what they're going to do. I mean, when I think it was season 2.
I think Organa might have Red. We might have Blue.
He's going to have one of them, but
I think Blue.
Awesome.
I think Blue because of what happens to Alderaan.
That would make sense, especially with the whole Admiral Raddus has Tantine on V strapped onto his ship as a big escape pod. But it was awesome seeing the Rebel Alliance stuff together. We get a little bit of a space battle between them.
Yeah, classic Star Wars space battles as well. It was
awesome, classic, awesome Star Wars.
And then I think this is the bit where they're kind of saying, Ezra, we need to get a plan. We need to get you out of here. You need to go to Mon Mothma. You need to get us some support, back us up, because Thrawn thinks this is the rebellion.
Yeah.
And, it's we know Sabine's in this episode. We all know he's going to go to Sabine eventually. Yeah. But whether or not I'm jumping ahead too much, the plan activates. We get the sacrifice of, is it Commander or General Tato?
Commander Sato.
Brilliant.
That's a little bit later because we have Ezra escaping first with Maul's Fang Fighter. Well, it's a slightly large Fang Fighter. I didn't realize it's actually more of a larger ship than the standard Fang Fighter. But yes, he goes, right, we can't go to Mon Mothma, because he does speak to Mon Mothma and Chandrila. And he goes, she might be on Dantooine now. That's the other thing.
I think she's on Dantooine. Yeah. We'll talk about it at the end when they tease another planet. But with this was one of the strongest scenes when Mon Mothma's like, we can't help you. We'll try our best.
We'll do our best for the prisoners.
And but she's like, I cannot send anyone. Blah blah. And I thought that was an awesome scene because in Rogue One, the rebellion is, we don't want to be seen as people fighting. They can't know we're here. When you get the sort of council meetings, Mothma's the one who's, oh yes, let them fight. But in this, I loved, she had the right leader skills, and I would love to help you, but I just can't.
It's character progression again towards, she's stepped away from the Senate now. She's a wanted person, and she's doing what she can. So then to get on to Rogue One again, so it's character progression. But yes, so then he goes, right, we need to go to Mandalore. But as we're going to cut back, go to Sato. Go to Commander Sato.
Sato and his sacrifice. Gets his abandoned ship message, gets it all out. Gets his 2 pilots who are like, no, we're staying.
It does actually, Carrier was in Rogue One.
No longer there. It was in pieces.
Yes. But to have him crash into the interdictor to give Ezra that escape,
I loved it.
That was kind of cool. And that whole bit with Admiral Constantine, which is a nice tie-up to that story arc as well. To him veer off course, with Thrawn going, I told you to stay in place, what are you doing? Boom. It's like, crap, you've given him escape. Now he's probably going for reinforcements. Thank you, Constantine. I told you not to do that, and you did.
It just shows literally when these guys do not follow Thrawn tells them to do, that's when mistakes get made. It's the first thing Constantine decides, I'm going to do this, and he gets dead because of it. But that's it does kind of tie in later as well with Price,
Governor Price,
Governor Price. She makes a mistake by not following Thrawn's. She's gone on her own and following Thrawn's orders.
Yeah, we will get on to that later.
Sato has been a character we've had since season 1. And for him now to sacrifice himself and his ship for the better half of the rebels. It was a nice moment. It's not the character I was expecting we might lose in this episode, but
it was a worthy sacrifice. He's a character we've been introduced in series 1. He's one it was our first introduction to the wider rebellion, and to have that go on, was very cool. And to see his sacrifice, and to see again the crew members stay on board and go, no, we're not going anywhere. It was nice, and and also type Admiral Constantine, because again, there's some. Yes, we look at gaps for the Rebel Alliance, there's also gaps for the Empire as well between now and Episode 4. So to tie up those loose ends was kind of cool.
Yeah, and I love the whole captain goes down with the ship, and also with Sato going. Let's be honest, that hints at someone getting a promotion to make canonical. Is that a word?
Yeah, canonical sense. Yeah,
we'll go with it. We'll go with it.
I was gonna say, there's so many words to these timelines that they speak of.
Canon and canonical are correct words, yes.
But that's something now that we know is probably going to happen at the start of Series 4. Or, we knew it was happening anyway from Rogue One, but now we've got that, okay, the position's there for her to fill it.
Yeah, Commander Syndulla will now be her title in Series 4, I reckon.
And I love that because what I liked as well with Thrawn, when he addresses everyone, even back to the beginning, so Sato, Dodonna, and was it Officer Syndulla, he said?
Yeah,
Captain. Yeah. And that by him specifically addressing her, it's giving her more levity because she was always quietly, back to Series 1, sorry, she was always in the know with the wider rebellion, but the others just thought it was that little one ship where she was like, no. Obviously, and then comes Ahsoka. So she's always been the so-called leader of them, but because she doesn't have a lightsaber and she wasn't Ezra, obviously the point of view of the audience in the show was those. So I've kind of liked her character progression because she's someone that as the years have gone by, she's got a bit more screen time, and I've certainly liked her a lot more than I think others have because, and that's just them shifting. Sorry, it's just them shifting to the rebellion scope rather than the Ghost crew.
I think, yeah, exactly that about her. I say she's had so little to do, but she's been such an important character in what she's done, and it hasn't been in great chunks. It's been a bit like Thrawn in a way. She's had very little to do in a lot of the episodes, but it has built so far to where she is probably now, out of that crew, probably the most important character on that ship.
I would completely agree. I really would. She's, as you're saying, she hasn't done much, what it seems like, but all the little pieces have built up to a very important character. From Series 1 to the end of Series 3, she's gone, there is a wider rebellion, and then to build it up from there into where we are now and to help Mothma bring together the wider rebellion, and just her little pieces here and there have basically made her to be indisposable, which we actually know from Rogue One that she's still around by that point.
And I think, does that tie up the kind of first half of the episode?
The only thing that we've missed is Bendu going off because he doesn't want being called a coward, and then he disappears, and then literally it's the return to base from Hera, so they get the message to go back, and the escape pods all head that way as well. And then literally all we get is Ezra saying that he's going to go and get Sabine. And that is literally where part one finished with Sabine.
All right. So then we start part 2 with the on Chopper Base, them using the shield that goes all the way back to Geonosis. Again, another little bits and pieces they're cherry picking from previous episodes. Of course, Sabine is around to maintain it, but Rex and Zeb do get it set up and get it going.
I thought it was awesome. It's, like I said, a nice throwback to that episode because, as Sabine was working on this, we don't know if it's going to work, what it's going to do, but, let's see how it goes. And then it'll always be, to me, the classic episode 1 shield.
Absolutely.
I love that. I love the sound effects. Don't really get that, but what we get is maybe visually one of my favorite moments in the Star Wars saga, which is the Star Destroyers angled bearing down upon a planet,
planetary bombardment.
The orbital bombardment was a thing of beauty, I must say.
It's something we've not seen in Star Wars before.
Yeah, I was struck that I was like, oh, why haven't we seen this before? This is almost glaringly amazing.
In Empire, you have Vader go, no, we'll just go straight to ground assault. They don't bother with the orbital bombardment, whereas Thrawn is testing their defenses, which actually I like because it means that Thrawn's more of a tactician than Vader.
Yeah,
Vader goes all full out. Right, we're just going to go to ground, just assault, then we'll do it head on. Whereas Thrawn is going, no, we will test the defenses first, see what the shield's like, see if we can break through it. If not, then we'll go to ground assault.
With me, the way I've always seen the Empire guys, they've each got their own style. Vader's is very much it's the iron fist, the power. Let's get down. Let's just get them. Thrawn's the tactical genius who's watching from the background, planning everything in motion, and that bombardment. I would, if he lasted 10 more seconds, then we've got the end of the rebellion.
That was it. Game over.
But when we go back to that trailer, the one thing I was intrigued by, one of the images could have been our thumbnail, but I think I put it on the Facebook anyway. there's a shot of Hera with it looked like fireworks going by, and it's like, no, this is an orbital bombardment. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. That was special.
Yeah, no, that was really
it was great.
Cool
and it's it. Yeah, Thrawn calling it off literally just no, they've had enough now. Now we'll start the ground assault.
Yeah.
And I think it's the first time in this, after he catches the ceasefire, obviously Hera then calls out to Kanan to make sure he's survived.
Yeah.
Also, I think he mentions that he now feels that Thrawn's actually trying to kill him this time.
Yeah, he's like, I think Thrawn's actually trying to kill us this time. Yes. You want to...
And then the first time, I think Hera calls Kanan love.
Yes.
No, it's the first time since Series 1.
Did she call him? Oh, I missed that. But yeah,
it's in the very first episode. In the very first episode, calls in love, and then a little bit later on, he also goes. They also go like, "Go make mum and dad proud." But it's no, the very first episode, I think she calls him love. So it's the first time in a very long time. But yes, it's nice to see that connection. I've actually read A New Dawn where they meet for the first time. It's kind of a nice story back to that, and that's a very good book. I recommend if you haven't read it. But yes, so yeah, she calls out to him to see if he's still alive. I think something actually trying to kill us. And of course, at this point, the ground assault starts with Thrawn and his proper. It reminds me of the commanders from Hoth in the AT-ATs with the proper bucket style with Vader-like helmet, but with the kind of the gap around it.
I loved seeing that. It was a nice throwback to episode 5.
Well, technically throw forward, but yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah, it's something that I don't think he's in an AT-AT, but because he is commanding the ground troops, it's the kind of the status for him. And then we get those. I've never really got over this. I don't know their names, but they're like the poor man's ATSTs.
The ATDPs.
Yeah, whether or not in the future we end up getting the prototype ATST, that would be awesome because we know at Jeddah ATSTs are a thing.
Yeah.
Whether they're going to, because they look like the kind of prototype version of ATSTs.
Papa Hidalgo did say that then ATDPs and ATSTs were produced at the same time. They're not. The ATDP isn't a predecessor to the ATST, which I kind of like. I think it's kind of cool to see that they had their different uses.
Yeah, one of them just seems far superior to the other, though.
Yeah, the ATDP does seem better than the ATST. I'll give you that.
I did love that we also got this bit. We got Thrawn giving Price command, which was probably his biggest mistake in the episode.
Yes, that would come back to bite him. Yeah.
And Kallus found it absolutely hilarious that he'd done so. And that he did warn them. He warned Thrawn that he thinks, I've had it where these rebels, you thought they're literally going to get on the edge of defeat, and they've come back. So that I thought Kallus in this episode, Kallus was absolutely phenomenal. I really enjoyed his performance throughout.
Best character in this episode by far.
That did get me scared for a second when he says, "I've had them like this." I knew Thrawn would say something Thrawny, but the kind of going back to episode 1 when he kind of goes for that guy. Do you remember when you see the bit of psychopath within him? Yeah, you're starting to see these twitches of he's slightly losing his his personalized coming into it more so than his goal as the Grand Admiral. And in those moments, it was great. But then there was a part of me concerned in the corner, like, the rebels always do come back. Please don't kill Thrawn, because everyone's going to go mental. And
everyone would go mental if Thrawn was killed.
And then they get the ground assault, the ATDPs. I think is this bit they get absolutely annihilated by
because Zevon's Rex mine the pathway for them. Because Dodonna correctly predicts where they're coming from. Because look, we know they're coming. This is the one route they're going to come in, and of course Rex and Zed then go out and then mine it all. Of course, though, we had that great Thrawn line of they revealed their meager defenses. I love that.
And meager they were.
How he's taking it. He's just going right.
I mean, those
proper chess match. I know what's coming.
I was going to say he's sent in the prawns. Not the prawns. The prawns.
Sent in the prawns.
That's what we
don't give me attack shrimp.
It's literally District 9. You just send in the alien race. That would be some kind of crossover. I give you that.
That would be one weird ass crossover.
The pawns got wiped out, and then you had what we've all been waiting for, the AT-ATs. I was actually disappointed by this. Very vague in the sense that, go back to episode 5, the AT-ATs, anyone within a couple of meters range got thrown in the end. I didn't like the fact that, it was cool seeing them. And I like they didn't get taken down easy because 2 of them made it to the end. One of them obviously would get took out by a lightsaber.
Yeah.
The way they come through the shield's awesome, but
I also like the fact that at that point, you do have Rex and turn to Zeb. No, Zeb turn to Rex. Go, one day we'll make a shield that you can't walk through.
Yeah. That was like a little episode 1 throwaway line. I think I loved that, but I didn't like the fact that we kind of all said, I wish that we lost Sato, which was a great sacrifice. I really wish that we lost someone from the Ghost Crew or someone
Rex and Zeb.
Yeah, that would have been...
At that point when the AT-ATs came in, AT-ATs came in, whatever you want to argue about, that was the moment I thought we might lose one of them. I really did.
And it
would have been a perfect moment to lose one.
Yeah, I wish we lost 1 or 2, a sacrifice, one for the other, or them together. This episode had the vibes that we would have lost one of them.
Someone important, yeah. I mean, Sato was important, but he had run his course, but they'd done it well. And it's been it from Series 1. It wasn't exactly a small fry character, so that was a loss. I was a little disappointed that we didn't lose Zeb or Rex, but at least we did lose someone.
Yeah, and this was a thing. If one of those two was to go, I think this is always going to be the best moment for them. Again, that would have built up the AT-ATs for themselves as these are the machines that did this. Thrawn was behind this, but they kind of ran off. I don't mind that, but I just hated the fact that the lasers were hitting the floor like an inch away from them, and they were both perfect. It was kind of, this is again me nitpicking, but
No, from episode 5, I completely agree with you on that. If you look at it from that point of view of if it did this in one, it should do this in the other. But it's what that is nitpicking, but I agree, they can't exactly do everything. Because if you've got your heroes being thrown around, it makes the AT-ATs a little bit too OP, but, Yeah,
it's just one of those where, okay, they both survived and we have lost someone, but... when those who survived, it was just this, okay, everyone's going to survive because if they're getting out of that, the others will, which I didn't mind. But then, we're seeing the Thrawn assault, him and his Death Troopers take to the caves.
Yeah.
Also, I'm jumping ahead, sorry. Kanan comes in, kind of saves the day, slashes one of the AT-ATs. I thought that was a cool moment.
That was kind of cool, but then again, I go, why didn't Luke do that? That's me being me going, wait a second, why didn't Luke think of that? But he had his grapple hook and he had a grenade, so he did destroy it by himself. So yeah,
and his was cooler. He didn't slash the legs; he went for the body. But no, that was.
I was going to say what we have missed is that in the meantime, Sabine has agreed to leave with Ezra to come back and help with the fight after it looked like he was going to leave without anybody's backing.
Yeah.
Obviously, Sabine turns around and goes, he says, if you're going to say no, I'll just go. And Sabine's like, no, I'm coming with you. So obviously, they allow at that point if she can gather some people together, he'll go with that.
Yeah, Ursa is like,
and help fight.
Yeah, they returned my daughter to me. We really should return the favor. And she goes to Sabine, look, take some fighters, take some pilots who are willing. Yeah, we know we can't spare a lot, but take what you need, take what you can. Go and do what they brought you back to me. I need to return the favor on that. I like that little throwback. Again, it's kind of, although we have some gripes with this episode, it did kind of tie up a lot of loose ends, including one with Mandalore. Even though it's created a bigger arc for the Mandalorian Civil War, it's tying up little loose ends like their bit with Ursa and with Mon Mothma and things like that. So it's kind of a nice little way of crossing all the T's and dotting the I's, kind of bringing things together. But yes, so Ursa allows Sabine to take some fighters and take some pilots with her. So that happens, and then yes, Thrawn surrounds Phoenix Squadron. Goes, I have you now, basically. That's his. I have almost. It's his almost. I have one moment, and I think he kind of thinks he's got away with it before Bendu arrives, kind of thing. He's at that point. He's got. I have my victory. I have you in my grasp. Because and now I will accept your formal surrender. Because at that point,
and then Mufasa arrives.
Yeah, just before we get onto that, though, I do like that bit where Thrawn is like, I now have my victory. I will now bask in my glory.
It was an awesome moment just for him to be there with the Death Troopers and just it looked like he rounded up these general leaders that he said at the start of the episode, he doesn't know if he can guarantee they're all going to survive anyway.
Yeah.
That kind of battle. To have them all rounded up and he's like, this is the victory.
Yeah. So before we get onto our gripe, I just wanted to say I thought Thrawn up until that point was written perfectly. And I thought that was the way he's ended, I could see why, in terms of this particular part of the episode, I could really see why people were liking the Timothy Zahn books and to see why they like this character, because I hadn't read the books. I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to make up. I haven't read the original trilogy that he was in. However, I can now see why people like that character because we've seen him in this series, but as George has alluded to in previous episodes of our podcast, which you can find on our channel, he's in it for little bits here and there. But those little bits are so cool and add up to this moment here where he's like, "Got ya, told you I would." And I just really like the character. But yes, so we get on to Mufasa arriving. Tom Baker, Bendu. Remember me a moment here. Yeah.
This
will divide us on this one. I can guarantee it.
I was scared that Thrawn was going to die by a gigantic CGI Cloud or Tom Baker.
I didn't think that would happen.
But it didn't happen, which was jumping ahead. The main thing, I really despise this bit. For a guy that's not in the middle, I am not the Empire, I'm not the Sith. I'm going to turn into a giant cloud of lightning and kill you all instead.
Yeah.
Oh, I really didn't like this. I can't. I was just there like, oh, for God's sake, like this was perfect, and it was a get to the chopper moment. This was your friend Bendu. Yes, now it reminded me of Pirates of the Caribbean 3, where Tia Dalma turns into crabs, and then she becomes a giant cloud in the hurricane storm. Yeah, it really took me out of it. I don't think Bendu deserved to be a part of the confrontation between Thrawn and the Rebel crew. It's very much their story. I know it's his planet. I know he's some wisdom cloud now. But I don't think he warranted being in that moment. Whether that's me, I don't know. I think this will divide a lot of people, this scene.
I'm with you on this, George. On my notes that I wrote down as I was watching the episode, I wrote "stopped caring" on my phone, because at that point I was like, you know what? That's there's no reason for him to come into that. There could have been other ways of escaping. There's still ships out there. Ezra's out there. So yeah, they could have got out by other means than a scary cloud firing lightning at people. But it's the character didn't need it. The character didn't need to have this arc. It didn't have to have an ending. It was Bendu's planet. He decided that he wasn't going to help, and that was enough. We didn't need any further interaction from him. So yeah, it wasn't a great moment. And also, in this moment as well is when Price starts making her own decisions as well, and how to proceed with the battle, and it's all going wrong. But yeah,
I do have a slightly different opinion on this. Now I agree.
Phil, stop being wrong.
I agree that he didn't need to do it, and I agree there are other ways, and I wish they had done other ways. I agree with both of your point of view, in that it was a bit unnecessary, and that he should have just buggered off and left it. However, that said, I do like the fact that it's almost Kanan's input that brought him back, and to have him then go, okay, all right, you kind of persuade me a little bit. You've got me going, okay, well, I don't like you per se as rebels, but at the same time, you're attacking my planet, and the people I've now, started to become friends with, you're killing them. No, go away. But it's more of he was trying to keep it in. I see what Dave Filoni was trying to do, keep him in the middle between the dark and the light, and keep him between the rebels and the Empire, and to have that bit where he almost doesn't give a damn about the rebel crew. Because don't forget, as they are, we're jumping ahead slightly here, as they are flying away, he does hit the ghost with lightning. He does kind of go, look, I don't give a damn about any of you. I just want to be left alone. So there is a little saving grace for this piece. So I agree with both your points of view and the fact that it shouldn't have been done. However, the fact that it was done, that I could see why it was done. So I don't dislike it completely, but at the same time, I don't love it. I'm in the Bendu on this one. I'm in the middle. I don't mind either way.
Boo, Phil.
Well, that's what makes this podcast and our friendship great. It's differing points of view. I mean, yeah, I know I'm slightly wrong on that, but I don't like it completely. I really don't. I'm not 100% for it, but I'm not 100% against it. So
we'll forgive you on this occasion. It's all right.
What I will say about Cloud Bendu, I love the fact that Thrawn just get him out the sky. I love that they just rained fire the AT-ATs, and then you just see this big rock ball thing just crashing towards the planet's surface.
It wasn't just this kind of cloud; it was him using the Force to do that,
hiding in the middle of it. Yeah, it was.
Because if it had just been this kind of forced operation, it would have been a bit meh. But to have that be something physical in the middle and to have them shot down was cool. Because like, yay, they've killed him. Oh wait, they haven't. But yay!
Yeah, it was like the save. It was a saving grace that Thrawn was like me. He's had enough. Get him out the episode. So he did. He shot them with AT-ATs. That was cool. Yeah, I'm just very happy Thrawn didn't die, because the way that the second half of the episode went was, although the Rebels lost, and I'm happy jumping ahead that the ending made it obvious the Rebels lost, the second half of the episode compared to the first felt very much like Thrawn was losing. You know, people were escaping, things were going wrong. I'm happy that it didn't completely finish that way, but it kind of did.
Well, it's Governor Pryce. Again, it's people taking their own initiative. Thrawn's plan would have worked, but people took their own initiative. I like that point of view, because again, you see him almost signing it, oh, god damn it, you're ruining my plans, people. What are you doing? I've told you to stay in place. And the fact that, yeah, again, we'll get onto it later with what happens with Governor Pryce, but the fact that she is taking her own initiative ruins his plans.
Yeah.
And we also got, at this point, our next action figure, I think, which is Spacesuit Ezra.
This is very true. So we got the attack on the Interdictor. So whilst there is a Stormcloud having a hissy fit, we have Ezra and Sabine with, I don't know, I think Fen Rao was there as well, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in one of the ships.
Yeah.
So you had Fen Rao and you had a few Mandalorians attacking the Interdictor. That's what Governor Pryce was on, wasn't she? She was on the other Interdictor, wasn't she? The second one. Or correctly.
She's on one of the Star Destroyers. I think she's just on.
Yeah, she's on the one that no one wants. Yes, but they attack the Interdictor, and you have at this point, Thrawn's being kicked off of Atollon. At this point, though, actually going on to Atollon, had we actually had the planet named before?
No, I don't think we had.
I didn't recall it at all from hearing it. So.
No, I thought it was just Chopper Base. So to have the planet named Atollon, to have that bit was kind of cool. Sorry, I just remember that. Thinking that during the episode, have we actually had it named before? So yes, they then attack the Interdictor and they do take it down, but it takes them a long time to do it. They have more of the Imperial Jump Troopers, which again we saw first off in the Ghost of Geonosis episode. That was kind of cool to see as well. I mean, they've cherry picked some of the best bits of more of the second half, but of season 3, and put them in the end of this episode, end of the series.
Yeah, I liked seeing that. I liked the little space battle. The kind of on the spaceship battle. I think that's the right word for it. But it was just cool seeing some more scenes of that. They had them pinned down. They kind of got away and escaped with it. I liked the fact that Chopper was really underused. I didn't mind that in this episode, but it was cool when they kind of fled once their little plan had worked and they were just hanging onto the spaceship at the right time. They managed to get away.
Yeah. Chopper is used as comic relief, and in this episode, that was not needed.
Precisely, and it was, we did get a cameo of AP5.
We'll get to it.
I was hoping that he was gonna. When the orbital strike was happening, it's like, imagine if he just straight outside that shield. That would have been Dave's dream.
I was hoping that he was going to get killed this episode.
Had it happened, this would be my favorite episode. And that we literally would have talked about AP5 for literally an hour just on that, and how many bits he'd gone into, and how many.
It's all right. Now we've got our own channel, which again I'll remind you all to subscribe to. Is you can have your own episode just ranting on AP5. It's fine. We can give you now. We have our own platform.
The AP5 rant hour. Oh,
yeah, we have our own channel. We can give you the AP5. I'll even join you for the AP5 rant. I think George probably joined you as well for the AP5 rant hour. We will just sit and rant about AP5. We can sit and rant about Jar Jar, but we have things to do. I don't know if we've got that much time, but we can sit around and rant about things for a while now. So yes. So again, I like the fact that Chopper was underused in this episode, but Bendu does give them a chance to escape. The Interdictor's been taken out, but it does feel very much they're licking their wounds after this episode. It feels very much, because Rogue One was supposed to be their first victory, and this does feel like a defeat. Although it's not an out, they're dead, it's very much Thrawn's gone.
They did not win this battle by any stretch of the imagination, and that's it's in my notes as well. That the crawl of A New Hope does tell us that they've only just secured their first victory, which we all know was Rogue One. So they couldn't. To have them and had to win it all, it would have felt wrong and it would have felt against the story. So for them not to have that to look, I mean, you saw that the troopers all inside were just sitting silent, everyone looked dejected. It felt like a defeat in every way that it could.
This episode, they escaped.
That was literally
that's what
the only victory for them that they got out of there.
The best scene, one of the best scenes of the episode, was them at the end sitting silent. It reminded me of the scene in Rogue One after Edu, where they were all there in complete silence. Yeah, and that's what this felt like. And it was the right kind of season finale to it, where the camera cut on all the main characters, the side characters. They're going through. Brilliant. Well, we kind of forgot about Callus.
But that's what I said. Before we get to this, we need to talk about Agent Callus, who, because he's been left with Governor Price, again, I thought that Thrawn would have finished him off before he left. I thought Thrawn would have just put a bullet through his skull, as in a laser bolt straight through it, and gone, enough. I was kind of hoping they would have killed him off in this episode. However, to see him now go on to the Rebel crew as a proper rebel from now on to be a rebel, that would be interesting to watch.
I said to you guys in the week that, I said this a long time ago, could Agent Callus be General Draven? There were rumors from the original trailer. They had the similar hair and stuff, and I remember Gareth goes, "No, this guy's called Draven. He's not called Callus." Well, an agent name is Agent Callus, isn't it? It might be his name, and not necessarily a redemption. But I had this. I always wanted him dead in this series. Thought he's maybe run his course, sacrificed himself, brilliant. But now we've kind of had Rogue One on there. Like, he's got the right characteristics and the knowledge of the Empire to be able to call some shots. And maybe in season 4, there could be "You are General Draven" or some. Yeah. This is maybe too fan fictiony.
Well, his name is Agent Callus, but that could just be his code name. It could be
precisely.
My name was Agent Callus. I'm actually Mos Draven.
Yeah, like if the rumors are true, we learn how Han Solo got his name. Oh, whoa! Maybe
that's for another episode.
Wednesday.
More of how he got his reputation, not his name. But that will be for episode. On our next episode on Wednesday. Don't forget to join us at 8 p.m. GMT. But yes, shames plugs aside, the end of the episode. Callus gets picked up. He escapes only just in the escape pod. The ghost picks him up. I thought he was going to get picked off.
That was my moment as well. Yeah. I was expecting that. Callus almost to get in and just a laser blast coming out from nowhere.
Yeah, to take him out.
When it took off, I was like, oh, bye, Callus. But no, the fact he got scooped up, I'm quite happy with the fact the character grew his hand for him to be in the next series as well. So I'm quite happy he survived it. Another death would have probably really solidified how badly they'd lost this. But no, I'm quite happy that he's going to be carrying on into the next series.
He's a character that across the years he's had the best he's had a redemption arc, but in terms of character, everyone always stays the same.
He's a very good arc. Very good.
Yeah, since the Zeb episode, his arc has been absolutely stunning.
My props to Dave Filoni on that one. It was incredible.
It was and I love that David Oyelowo is an incredible actor. And I love that when this series started, he was just he's a good guy. He's gonna get a role, and he eventually got Martin. This is me jumping off the wagon a bit. He got Martin Luther King, and he should have been nominated for an Oscar that year, but I thought, is he going to come back because is he too big for Rebels? But no, fair play. He's either on a contract or he likes him. He's stuck to it, but they've given him more prominence, and maybe that comes down to some of the voice acting. But just quickly going on to Draven, the mannerisms. This is why I think he could be the mannerisms, the hardened voice, the sort of beard stuff. There are similarities that could be there.
That give it away. Yeah. He could be, but
that would be really cool for another year if they do want to tie in there.
Yeah. So
then. Yeah. After that, we get our final scene with Bendu, with lying on the floor, Thrawn over him with gun outstretched, and then he tells Thrawn that he's seen his defeat. He says, "Line is in many arms surround you like a cold embrace."
Yeah.
And then Thrawn goes to shoot him in the head, and he disappears. So I'm guessing at that point he either
him getting killed by one person, because that'd be hilarious.
I don't know if he's banished again, just that he normally does, and he's okay, or was that him going at the Force? Like
I hope so.
Yoda did.
I hope so.
The whole cold arms embracing. For all we know, Thrawn could meet Kenobi and they could have a little hug when things go south. But no, it's I love seeing.
I hope it's on Hoth and gets killed by one person. That would be brilliant.
Exactly like why have I forgotten the name of the brilliant program? Robot Chicken. The answer to Robot Chicken. That was brilliant. Yeah. Thrawn loved it because, like we said earlier, you get these twitches of his personal vendetta rather than his when he loses his mind. you know, the second time that the eye twitches, the gun goes. Pretty dark for a Disney cartoon show to get the smoking barrel of a gun. I loved it though.
That was very much a psychopathy moment where he's just like, no, nah, go away.
Yeah,
and it was a pure headshot as well. He was literally going to shoot him in the head had he not vanished, or he did shoot him in the head, and that's when he went into the Force. I don't know, but fine.
And I don't think we'll be seeing Tom Baker again in Doctor Who. So not Doctor Who. Whoa,
definitely not. Well, we might see him in Doctor Who. Definitely not.
Oh well, he's in his own audio dramas. Big Finish. And the fact that they've got a new one, new series coming later this year, but that really is going off topic.
I really do think we've seen the end of Bendu now. I think that's a full character arc is done. We don't need him back now. We're off that planet, so we're not going to need to go back there. We've moved on, and we know we moved on because our favorite droid mentions exactly where we're going. The biggest name reveal in Rebels that we could have had after Dantooine, as delivered by AP5.
Oh, yes. No, it says set the coordinates for Yavin. Now that is something that's going to be very, very interesting. Because by the time we get to Rogue One, they've established they're based on Yavin. But to see this as the beginning of it, that's going to be quite cool.
I'm very intrigued to see what they do because with the Dantooine, we know is an abandoned base. Mon Mothma's on Dantooine. That's where she does the call out. So for all we know, season 4, it could be just the Ghost crew for the first couple of episodes. Could finish with maybe some more coming over to establish, but it's going to be, I think it's going to be really cool. I'm guessing that when they shot Rogue One, they probably scan loads of environments for the animators to use for the base or something.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it didn't expect the name drop because we had Dantooine name drops, but it'll be very cool to see what they do with it in Series 4.
Yeah.
I'm definitely intrigued now. I say just to have Yavin, although it was AP5 mentioning the word Yavin, I should never have been given that. Oh, AP5, how much I hate you. But yeah, so sorry, just I've got that out now. To see that we're now going to be going, so they're on their way to Yavin in 3 hyperspace jumps just to hide their tracks.
Yeah.
As Rex said. But no, I think this is going to lead off into a really great place. If they're now going to be based in Yavin, we're going to see so much more tying into A New Hope and the original trilogy. We're going to see so many things link up. It's I can't wait for Series 4 to come on. I hope that we are literally now days away from Star Wars Celebration, and they are having a panel where they're getting some sneak peeks at Series 4. So I hope a lot of information will come out of that. I know we're going to be watching the streams of a lot of these panels. We will be coming to you with information on this channel, on our new channel, Ones of the Force, a Star Wars podcast. They're our own YouTube channel, in case we haven't mentioned it. But yeah, so we're going to be coming to you live with a few of those things, and we'll be discussing in a lot more detail as we get details that come out. But I think it's exceptional where we are from this cartoon that started a few years ago.
So now something that's really tying up a lot of loose ends and getting quite dark.
Yeah, and it's going to get darker. Thrawn lives. Thrawn in season 4 is going to have a vendetta, and
Thrawn is pissed.
I know we're going to save our season 3 roundup for kind of, I think we mentioned maybe another episode or for the main show on Wednesday.
We'll do a full roundup,
But, you know, season 4, we've got, maybe we're even going to get Vader, Sash and Kanan. That's my personal hope. But season 4, there's a lot of potential. And I'm loving the whole Yavin nickname because we've now got so many multiple acts tying together, new ones to create and find out. So,
also, we did find out that General Donon is from Mike Harpo. Another random bit I just remembered. Again, to have all these kind of little loose ends and little kind of nooks and crannies filled in is kind of cool. But yes, I know, Dave, you've got to head off fairly soon, so we'll just do our final roundup. Overall impression of the episode. I liked it. I thought it was good for a finale. I don't think it was great. I thought a couple more deaths, well, at least one more death, and no Bendu showing up would have been great. But apart from that, I really liked it.
Yeah, I thought it was very good. Not as good as Twin Suns, but completely different entities if you look at them. Yeah, maybe exactly a death or two more would have given you that more feeling of a loss. But a good place to transition into season 4.
Exactly with that. I think we should have had these 2 stories first, and then Twin Suns as the final episode would have been my own personal opinion how it maybe should have been done.
I agree.
Didn't need to see them coming away from there, just Ezra, really. They could have already been on Dantooine, and that would have made no difference to that overall story. As a season finale, though, I did really enjoy the 2 episodes. I thought it was a nice, as George just said, a really nice lead into to series 4. It's left me wanting to know where the story's going. It's left me wanting more, which is, I guess, that's what a season finale should do. It should make me feel that I want to see the story and how it continues. But thumbs up.
Yep, thumbs up from me as well. So that was our review and our recap of Rebels of 0 Hour. Leave a comment down below, comment on our Facebook page as well, and our Twitter. You can find us all there at Ones with the Force, because we now have, as I said, our own YouTube channel, if we haven't mentioned it at all this episode. So you can find us on Facebook, find us on Twitter. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video, comment down below. We'll reply to your comments, either myself as the Bucket of Awesomeness, George of Cinema Savvy, David's Life of Brian, or as Ones with the Force. We'll find you, we'll reply, and we'll have a discussion, because now that we're on our own channel, that's what we want. We want a discussion with you and involve you in this and our journey, because this is something we love. We don't get paid for doing this. We don't make money. We love doing this because we love Star Wars and we love talking about it. So don't forget, join us on Wednesday for our next episode at 8 p.m. GMT. We'll be putting posts on the Facebook page. We've got all our usual news on the standard news. We've got games, toys. We've got everything coming up. There's a lot to talk about in this upcoming episode. And we'll probably have more of an announcement for what's happening with Star Wars Celebration. Keep an eye on our Facebook page. We might do an announcement video here on the channel, but we're going to put up announcements of how we're going to handle Celebration. We'll probably do a few impromptu things, but we'll try and keep you updated as much as possible. Because I said, we want to have that conversation. But anyway, it's goodbye from us. We've been Ones of the Force. May the Force of others be with you. See you later.